definitions that I like, there's a lot of them online, but the study of the relationship between humans and digital era technology, understanding how online and offline worlds interact, and similar to what Tom was talking about, sort of taking a digital approach to anthropology in general. And digital anthropology in consumer research is really online communities, mobile ethnographies, virtual focus groups, social listening to the millions of conversations that are going on online, and really similar to what you were doing. So why use digital anthropology? Well, consumers today are leading digital lives. Now more than ever, we're sharing our experiences online and sort of living these journeys and using mobile tools. I doubt anyone in this room doesn't have a cell phone. I see someone recording this through an iPad right now. There's a lot of technology around us, and how better to understand how people are living their lives than sort of watching those behaviors in a digital space as well as in a real world space. I actually use digital technologies as a way to get closer to people in their natural habitat. So not only can digital anthropology be jumping into digital spaces and following people in virtual worlds or virtual communities or blogs, but it's also sort of creating these sort of platforms to conduct research in. And these are like online community platforms or mobile app platforms and things like that where we can study behavior through that. And really just trying to understand, uncover what people are doing through digital technology, where they're spending their time, how they feel, etc. And it really offers us the capacity to sort of capture experience in the moment. You can't be next to somebody all the time in ethnography. It is very difficult. I'm sure you definitely, it's hard. So what's really cool is it makes it so easy for me to actually be in someone's pocket all the time because we all have mobile phones and I can talk to them at any moment, and all of a sudden I am able to be in an experience with someone in this natural way, but not so obtrusive, and I'm not staring at them and I'm not asking what they're doing at every moment, which can be interesting in certain situations, but sometimes nobody wants to tell you and they don't want to look at you. So this is a great way to capture someone driving to work. Don't crash. Some of the things that, I like to use the word easy because I think it adds a little bit of simplicity and makes things a little bit faster. Like I said, I work in innovation, so I study consumer behavior to make better products, innovate spaces, innovate companies, and we need simplicity and ease and quickness to do that. So digital anthropology is really helpful. This means that I can engage with an audience that lives anywhere in the world. I can talk to someone in Germany, I can talk to someone in Brazil, in the US and UK, all in the same week, maybe even in the same day, instantly, and have those conversations in a way that would have been really difficult for me to do in person. Now those interactions are different, and not to say digital is better than in person, because there's so much beauty that you can get from in-person, face-to-face interaction. It's just a different layer, and in innovation, it's helpful. And one of the cool things that I really like about it is it actually gives people the chance to have thoughtful responses to our sort of research questions, because we can ask them a question, they can step back and think about it or interact with somebody else, and then share with you their thoughts, which is really helpful in certain situations, depending on what kind of topic you're getting at. You don't want, some people aren't able to just respond to you immediately when you're in an ethnography with them. They need time to think about it. So when designing the research project, this is something I keep in mind for certain types of research, like medical research or personal issues and things like that. It's really helpful. And again, sensitive topics. It's really great to study things that are hard for people to talk about in digital space, because they don't have to look at you and they don't have to waste that energy, and they can sort of be in their own space and even share like live mobile video with you, but they're still not looking at you, so it's okay. And they can tell you about how they feel, and that's really helpful. So a little bit about me, where I started. I'm a digital explorer, what if? But I started, I have my master's in online communities from USC, and I basically just studied how people interact in a digital space, similar to a real world space, and how these communities are built, how our behaviors change online, what environments are conducive to creating empathy and interaction, and just studying the differences. I wrote my thesis at the time. I was really interested in, Twitter was a big thing when I was in my master's, and I was like, how is Twitter affecting our relationships with real people? 140 characters, we can't be having real exchanges. So I was like, how does that interact with, like, or how does that affect our relationships? So I talked to all these couples about their relationships together versus how much they talked on Twitter and AIM, and if that had any effect. And I was really into it. And now it's irrelevant, but I'm really interesting. And then after school, after my master's, I trained as an ethnographer in the field for a market research company, and I traveled all around the U.S., sat in people's living rooms, on their couches, smelled their kitchens, opened cabinets, and really got a sense of like what it was like to study all kinds of different people in different places. And I used that in a combination to sort of start exploring in digital research behaviors. And at the market research firm, we launched online communities, we did mobile safaris, and I started to like take what I had learned as a way to understand how to have real, authentic, like human interactions with people in digital spaces that didn't feel obtrusive, and that people wanted to share with you, and the sort of digital walls that you can build, the language that you can use to interact with them. Like sometimes words are so heavy, a lot of times in these spaces, and so thinking about how do you choose a word and a sentence in order to like ask somebody a question about their lives that makes them want to feel open. So I nerded out on that. And today, I work at What If Innovation, an amazing company that I'm absolutely in love with. And what they do, what it does is basically invents new products, new ideas, new businesses, goes into companies and creates new structures. And one of the great things about this company is they're all about sort of the human perspective. How can we make design and products more human? So what does that mean for me is I work in the Impact Lab, and I help them understand people better using digital technology and techniques. And so that we can go to our clients and talk about people that we actually know and we had great conversations with, and they really inspire our work. I have another What If in the audience and an amazing anthropologist as well, so exciting. And then, so I just talk to you a little bit about how I use it. There's a lot of different techniques. This is just a few, and again, this is a developing industry. These change every day. I couldn't possibly keep track of all the different things that people are doing. People are amazing and coming up with all kinds of cool hacks on ways to sort of study behavior. And as this behavior changes and people start sharing things like photos differently or using our apps differently, amazing people will come up with, and anthropologists will come up with new ideas to sort of capture those learnings. I'll just walk you through a few of these. These are the ones that are sort of my bread and butter. I use them a lot. Online communities, old word, probably not a new thing to a lot of you, but really great for research. An online community is essentially an online platform or space that we recruit people that have something in common, some sort of common theme, into the space and talk to them in a qualitative way over the period of a week. What if I usually talk to, I usually work in small groups of online communities, so 30 people is kind of a good number for doing sort of in-depth qualitative research, where I feel like I can have an actual exchange and learn something about somebody, and they can have sort of conversations together. And we usually research them over a period of 5 to 10 days or 2 weeks, and sort of develop ideas, dive into their lives, have them share private blogs with us, and then go into public forums, and sort of part of my job is really understanding when to make things private and personal. It's like, when do you open the door, when do you open a window, when do you give someone privacy, and how they're going to share with you, because that actually can affect so much of your results and how authentic they're going to be with you. So we spend a lot of time in the Impact Lab thinking about, how to construct a community for, potentially, like, let's say, cancer survivors, and how often, do they want to jump in first day and share with everybody about their experience, or do we want to give them like a little personal room where they can talk to me about it and sort of get used to those behaviors, and then go and share with people after they've talked about those kind of things for a while. So we spend a lot of time thinking about that sort of digital architecture and designing discussion guides with language that is conducive to the project outcome. Mobile safaris, like I said, it's like having market research in your pocket. But basically, we have people in online communities that we recruit them basically that have mobile apps, either Android phones or iPhones. They can download an app and we can talk to them in moments throughout the day. This is really amazing for being able to talk to anybody in the world at a time that works for them, or tracking behavior over a period of time, and really gathering lots of like photos and videos. You'll be amazed how many people will document photos throughout their day for you, and all of a sudden you have this visual collage of like how they see their world. And so it's a really exciting area. It's an area that I see developing a lot, and the tools are not catching up as fast as we want to research them. So a lot of it is sort of like, how can I creatively like get someone to Vine and Instagram me even though I don't have a research app that does that? So being a digital anthropologist, I think on some level is like, how can you hack and sort of capture this content from them and make these interactions exciting? Mobile safaris are kind of like gamification. And what's exciting about that is, you know, I think market research for some people can get boring for participants. They're so bored and tired of answering your daily question. But you can kind of make it fun and make it assignment, or let them know that they're in a group with other people that are also sharing, that they might be sharing something a little bit more interesting, and how can they compete in it. It's a great way, especially for lots of image capture, for people to actually share a lot of data with you. So, and obviously great for in-store. Social listening, we all know there's a billion conversations online about everything that you could think of right now, and that number is just growing astronomically every year. Social listening platforms for research allow us to go and find out what we didn't even think of that people were talking about. I read about a month ago this article about this firm that was looking into, I think they were studying mothers, and they started finding out on mommy blogs that all these mothers were giving their kids Gatorade as a way to sort of like for hydration. And then they found out that athletes were actually drinking Pedialyte. And like, how would they have ever known that had they not gone into these forums and heard about all these little hacks that people are doing? And so what I like that analogy because I think social listening is a way to just uncover how people are being people and doing things online. And for research is a great way for us to really expand our point of view, so we're not so narrowed. And also understand what competitors are doing, or track behavior over time. What's changing? How is this year different than last year? And lastly, it's sort of this combination of qualitative and quantitative research. We can read the actual live tweets and blogs and conversations, and also get some interesting numbers behind it. Now, it's not quantitative research. These numbers are a little bit loose and self-reported on some level, because people register their blogs wherever they want to, and they say whatever sex they want to, but you know, we take it for that value. And Facebook stalking, sort of made this up, but basically social listening, you can't listen to Facebook, not your Facebooks at least. That's why we like it. But for me, I really want to know what you guys are saying every day. So I had to come up with a little bit of a hack for this. And what we do is basically we'll have a controlled group of an online community, and then we'll invite those 30 people to be friends with our sort of research profile on Facebook. We make sure to be authentic about who we are and everything like that. And then all of a sudden I have this feed of 30 people, and I can watch all of their unaided behavior while I'm having a controlled experience with them. And it doesn't always work, and but sometimes it's an interesting way to sort of uncover behaviors that people weren't naturally talking about. And I think, it's not that this is illegal, it's the wild, wild west and whatever, but I think this type of behavior will evolve for researchers to find better ways to sort of understand these behaviors, because there's a lot of closed doors online still, and that's an interesting, it's hard to get around them sometimes. So, and this is an NSA, like legal spying, obviously, I have people agreeing to let me watch their Facebook page. Digital ethnographies are kind of what that looks like. They're not the same as in-person ethnographies, obviously. If we can't, let's say we do 12 ethnographies across the U.S. and go into people's homes and talk to them about their lives, but we want to make sure that we weren't being biased against the UK or another city that we didn't get to test. We'll go in and do digital ethnographies where we talk to someone for 90 minutes, have them show us their apartments and their lives and open cupboards for us. And it's a little bit more instructive and self-sharing, but it's a great way to sort of like remove time barriers, location barriers, and potentially, like some people just don't, single moms that have 2 jobs, they don't have a lot of time to share with you, so you're able to sort of be more helpful for their schedules. And also, sometimes people feel more comfortable sharing when they're sitting on their favorite chair and they're eating and they're in a space that they feel comfortable. You might be able to get more authentic insights. Second to the last one, online focus groups. Again, very similar, looks like the Brady Bunch screen on the computer, but again, if you have location issues or you can't, time and people can't make it to a certain time for your focus groups, this is a great way to talk to a lot of people and test ideas with them. What do you think about this? What don't you like? Whiteboard ideas with them online, live, in the moment. no prep, no travel. For any of you that's worked in market research, these can be very extensive and time-consuming, and this is a way to speed it up really quickly and sort of get those live insights, and maybe go back to the same group the next day and the next day. You're not traveling all over the country and spending a lot of time on that. And again, people are in their own homes, they can be more comfortable, they can sit back and think about things. So that is that. And Facebook scraping. These are some selfies, not of me, but Facebook scraping is an interesting tool that I came across. That essentially, before someone joins a community, let's say you're studying a community of millennials that have, that are sort of still in your target market, and you want to understand, is there something about this group of people that is really different that I can't even think of the right question to ask them. I don't know what this is. Facebook scraping will add a Facebook Connect login to when they join your study, and what that means is it allows them to grab the about information from their Facebook, what they basically make public if they agree to let you sort of scrape that page, and all of a sudden you are able to categorize all the likes on all their pages, all the check-ins, all the music, everything like that shows up in the About Me section, and look for patterns and see if anything shows up. Sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes you might notice that, oh my gosh, we're studying consumers that really, really like Doritos, and all of these people actually really like this organic, natural brand of chips as well. And so what's the relationship there? So it's another thing that helps you know what you didn't know. So I thought I would just do a couple examples of how you guys could use it in your own work, sort of make it work yourself, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It's really about, the number one thing for doing any of this is just being like as human as possible and like sensitive to people, and sort of being a little bit highly empathetic, because this is a digital space. We don't have facial expressions and tone to inform us, so we have to read in to behavior a little bit. But I have an example of a business question. So we had an online dating, a woman came in to talk about online dating a couple months ago, so I thought I would do something similar. I can't talk about any of my actual projects. I am bound by secrecy, but I made one up. So let's say your business question is, how can I build a better dating site for women? Just a theory that women might not like dating sites. And the goal of this project would be, let's say, explore female attitudes and behaviors around online dating. So we want to know, how do they feel about it today? What do they like? What don't they like? Why? How would they make it better? Etc. What sites are they using? All those type of things. So in order to do this, this is perfect for an online community. We can recruit 30 women of our target market. We decide which groups they fall in, who are the ideal women that we want to talk to, how much money do they make, where do they live, etc. We bring them into an online space, and for the course of 2 weeks, we dive into all their opinions about online dating and all their stories, and we try to look for patterns, and then we try to create our own site and some ideas around what we found, and we throw those ideas back at them in the second week and see how they feel about them and help them iterate them with us in the community. You can share photos, you can share videos, you can write on the screen and have people write on the screen with you. It's just a great way to do some co-creation building with people after sort of learning about their opinions. To do this yourself, the first thing to do is sort of find an online community platform. Now there's tons of research platforms out there that would love your money, and they're about $1,000 for a week, about $1,500 for 2 weeks. But when I started, I didn't, they weren't very advanced, and I didn't know about a lot of them, so I just used Ning. And Ning was like $25 a month. I searched online for some code to put into the site to remove all the social sharing, because you don't want anybody to share information when you're doing private research. And you can basically close a Ning community yourself with a little bit of search. And in that community, you can invite people to join you. It's similar to Facebook. You can study them. There's blogs, there's forum options, there's photo sharing and video. And these are all sort of creative tools that you can use to sort of build your project. And again, you recruit your audience. So today, one of the best ways is probably to search on Facebook for people that you know that fit into that group. Talk to friends, but just create those specs around the sort of segment that you're looking for, and sort of recruit that. You can also do, there's online recruiting now is like $2 a person. It's not very expensive. People's incentive to participate is a lot lower, so it's harder to get them to participate. But if you're on a cost issue, I would look into that. Online recruiting is how they recruit for surveys. But sometimes if you can sort of hack it to get them to recruit to participate in qualitative research, if you set it up correctly, and it's about asking, letting them know about the project, letting them know they'd be incentivized more, etc. But that's a great way to get around cost. But again, your Facebook group is free. Designing a daily discussion guide, this is really your insurance for the success of your project. Thinking about a discussion guide is thinking about what is the outcome that I want out of this, this research. What do I want women to say? Well, not that what do I want them to say, but what types of questions do I want to ask them, and areas of response that I want to get, so I know if I'm making success. And sort of building your discussion guide backwards. And what if a lot of time we're like, we want photos and videos and we want raw data of what people are talking about, or co-creation or collaging is a big thing. So we build all of those pieces into our discussion guide. It's a daily assignment, 20 minutes a day, and it's amazing what people will share with you. And then this is also when you want to consider the level of interaction. So who's the audience that you're talking to? Is this a sensitive topic? Does this need to be more of like a closed blogging interaction? Can they talk to each other? Or do we need to create a few days of them to get comfortable with you before they talk to each other? So thinking about those layers. Moderator, that just is a human. If you find a human in this room, any of you can do this. It's just about being curious and probing and gentle and not overwhelming people with a lot of content. The web loves simplicity and simple sentences, and so the more simple you can be and light in your conversation and how you ask people, the more content you'll get. The worst communities are like half a page of discussion questions and then asking someone to just share a Bible with you. You need to be really simple and open with how you ask them questions, and people will share so much if you use the right language and words. And then you just develop themes and insights. Look for patterns. That's what we do. So the second one is for social listening. So let's say you wanted to try to do a social listening project. Let's make up a business question. Let's say that we're Pandora and we're losing business to Spotify. So we want to figure out how to improve our customer retention. And so the goal of this research would be to understand what's driving consumers to join Spotify. Where's the gap there? And so the method for this would be developing a framework for conducting a sort of competitive analysis through social listening by analyzing the online conversations around Spotify and Pandora in the last year. One of the things about social listening is the Twitter fire hose is about. Twitter fire hose is like being able to tap into all the past conversations on Twitter, but it only gives you about 2 years. So I like to keep the social listening studies about in 1 or 2 years going back, just so you can access Twitter. But essentially, what you would do is you would determine your social listening platform. This can be expensive if you actually go through a regular professional site like Crimson Hexagon or Sysomos, which you can totally hack it. And not that you're hacking into those sites, but you can create your own streams for completely free. Don't give them your money unless you have a firm backing you that wants to pay for it. And I will give you a list of what these are. But essentially what you're going to do once you have access to social listening sort of capabilities, you're going to want to design Google